Hey everybody, it's me, Brad. Hey, I hope you're doing good. Welcome to your virtual STS. I know this obviously is not real camp, and I sure wish it could be, but this is kind of the best we're gonna get. So, at least for now, someone was asking me the other day, is there anything else we could do? And never say never. I mean, we're definitely gonna be keeping our eyes open if there's a way that we possibly could do like a retreat down the road or something just for especially our graduates. But that being said, for now, hey, use this week. And actually, I was going to encourage you, if you know other people that are like STS or JTS age, I'm fine with either age, honestly, since we didn't have any of those camps. If you know anybody that's not in this Facebook group, I know it's pretty small, at least right now. I encourage people to be added in. If they don't even have a Facebook, they can make one super quick and easy and then ask to join the group. I want to have as many people be a part of this as possible, at least that want to be a part of it. So that's kind of my encouragement is let's spread this to everybody that's camp age that normally would be at camp, so that they can at least experience a little bit of what we're doing here. We're doing our theme this week is up. If you may remember, I guess it really only would be our graduates that would remember up as a theme. That was way back when they were 7th graders. And so we're kind of like doing it again as sort of a reflection of like how time has changed since back then. But our theme is up. Today's daily theme is heads up, with the idea being like look out for the ways that like Satan is trying to attack us. Like heads up, look out. And I hope you watched the Daily Focus video this morning. So if you didn't, that should be in the post like just before this that I posted. It said day 1 heads up, and it had a video. So I hope you watched that. That was a music video called Worn by 10th Avenue North. And I'm wondering kind of how many of you are feeling that way. I wonder how many of you are feeling worn down, and just kind of exhausted maybe. That kind of hit me watching that again. It's just like, I'm pretty worn out right now. And, obviously, part of this heads up stuff, the first thing that came to mind for me was with everything going on in the world right now. It's like, heads up, man, we didn't see this coming. Like, how do we react and respond when things in the world go crazy like they have? And how do we look out for that? And how do we respond and react as Christians? But I think kind of since then, I've been thinking more, just the more I've talked with teens and even college age group, there's been sort of just this wave of apathy, for lack of a better word. Maybe just this hopelessness, or how much longer is this going to go on? How much longer do we have to deal with this, and how are we going to get through? And that's sort of been what I've been thinking about more when I think about heads up, and what I wanted to kind of focus on. I'm not going to talk for too super long today. We want to try to keep these lessons relatively short for you, but really just what I've been thinking of when I think of heads up is it's not so much about the specific things of COVID or the things we're going through, but really more just like, how are we feeling and reacting to it? How are we coping, as a community and individually? Because just the more I've talked with people, that's kind of the response I've seen, is just sort of a wave of apathy. The first verse I kind of just wanted to talk about and jump into that really came to mind here was Matthew 11. So Matthew 11, 28 through 30, if you want to look at that yourself, grab a Bible. Matthew 11, 28 through 30. You've probably heard this before, though. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now, obviously, if you don't know what a yoke is, this is talking about when you put like all your it's like how to ride, but also like your luggage and your burdens and stuff. They put that on donkeys and other animals to carry around. It's like on a buffalo is what I kind of think of. I don't know why, but putting your yoke on something, or even a horse or whatever. So the yoke is like the things that you're carrying, the burdens you have. We want that to be light, not heavy and wearisome and weighing us down. And I really do think about sin here, though, too, right? So I know the heads up of of the world and how we respond in our reaction to things, but also the heavy burden of sin. And it's like, this is what God wants for us. He wants us to have a yoke that's light. He wants us to have a life that's fulfilled and full of good things, and let him take that burden off of us and away from us. There's another verse that says, carry each other's burdens. So we should be, as a community, also lightening that burden for each other. And really, this is sort of just the one thought I wanted to leave you with. So there was a book that I read by Francis Chan called Crazy Love. We actually were doing this in youth group recently. And one kind of quote in there really stuck out to me. He was saying that Francis Chan went to a college and he did a talk, and somebody asked him a question that kind of caught him off guard. He said, a student asked him, how could God be so loving if he forces me to love him back? And Francis Chan kind of went like, what? What are you talking about? Explain that. And, basically saying the point of, how can a God that like sends people to hell, be loving if it's like, love me or else, or I'll send you to hell, right? Which a lot of people maybe kind of view God that way. And Francis Chan in the book basically said, I wish that I responded better in person, but now that I've thought about it, here's my view on that, is just because God wants you to love him doesn't make him selfish or bad. Think about it this way. If there's truly an unconditional loving God, someone that loves you more than anything else in the world, and all he wants for you is the best for you, then that's what you would want, right? Is okay, what's the best for me? The best thing just happens to also be him. The best thing for you just also happens to be God himself. So a God that loves you and wants the best for you and wants you to have the best, most fulfilling life, one that's not weighed down with these burdens and things we have to carry, the answer to that, the way that we achieve that, is by growing closer to God. So it's kind of like a weird, like cyclical thing, like a circle where, yes, God does want you to follow him, but not because of like he's some like ruler or, everyone must worship me, this like selfish God. No, it's because he wants what's best for you. He wants you to live a life that's fulfilled and for him. And so that's what a loving God would do, is guide you toward the thing that would be best for your life. Does that make sense? I hope that kind of makes sense. It's not about just when we think about the Bible and we think about the ways we should live a Christian life, we think about, it's a list of rules, right? I shouldn't be doing these things. God doesn't want me to do this, 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 and this. But it's not because it's just some arbitrary list of rules. It's because God wants you to live a life that's easy, a burden that's light, a yoke that can be lifted off of you. And so I've just been thinking a lot about that, of when you were a teenager or an adult, really this applies to anybody that lives a worldly life, a life that's full of sin, a life that doesn't have a lot of God in it, a life where teens are sending nudes to each other, a life where kids are viewing pornography, a life where kids are getting drunk to mask their burdens. They're trying to relieve the stress and pain and anxiety in their life. A life where people are having sex or just, the list goes on and on. Your life gets a lot more complicated when you fill it with those things. When you have a life that is all those things, and maybe you've experienced that and you know that firsthand, that my life got a lot more complicated when I started involving myself with those. I think there's a reason that God wants us to live a life he does. And it's not because he said so. And it's not because he's a God that says, no, you must follow my rules, otherwise I send you to hell. It's not that. No, not at all. It's because he's a God of unconditional love, and he wants you to have a life that has an easy burden to carry. A life where you can feel that burden being lifted off of you, and he can carry it for you. He wants what's best for you. I've just noticed that throughout my life. If I'm in an area of my life where I'm straying away from God and I'm focusing more on the world, or fill in the blank with literally any kind of sin, it's like, is this making my life easier or harder? And I think if we really deep down ask ourselves that, we're realizing that we're making it harder on ourselves. If instead we're living a life and we're just, the more we strive toward God, the easier it's going to be. That doesn't mean that life's going to be a cakewalk. It doesn't mean that we're not going to face trials, but it's almost like we're burdening ourselves more when we try and fill that hole with all this other worldly stuff instead of filling it with God. So I guess just when I think of heads up, that's what I think of. Not because of necessarily like things that Satan is throwing our way, but really it is in a way, right? Because it's kind of our own sinful nature. When we choose a life that's sinful or away from God, it really is Satan acting in us, right? But I guess I'm saying heads up to that. Watch out. Be looking out for that stuff. And if you're realizing, wow, I kind of am living a life that way, and I really am feeling unfulfilled. What's that missing piece? Well, there's an option. There's a yoke that's easy and a burden that's light. And that's something that you can choose. That's something that you can decide to do, even despite if you have all this crazy stuff going on in your life. The attitude you choose and how you respond is still your choice. So that's sort of my thought today, is just heads up. Look out. Satan's trying to attack you. There's things that he's constantly trying to fill your life with that you're fed the lie that you think it's going to make you feel better, but ultimately it's not. And there is an answer that we can choose, and it's just it takes us fighting against our own human nature. So that's sort of your first thought for today. The rest of the week we're going to have more quiet time videos, daily focus. You're going to have other teachers sharing their thoughts in videos here. But like I said, share this to other camp kids. Share this with other people. It's a private group. My goal is for you to also be sharing thoughts with each other. Posting. You can feel free to make your own post in here and be like, here's what I was thinking in the quiet time today, or here's the word that I wrote on my hand, or whatever. Do what you want and make this your group, but for discussion or whatever you want it to be. And that's what I want for you, and hopefully it's better than nothing. And I'm always here if you want to talk to me as well. Tag me in a post and we'll have a discussion. So I'll see you tomorrow, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.